Greetings and welcome. My name is Mike Bankhead. I am your host. I'm a bass player and songwriter from the Gem City, Dayton, Ohio. But really, I grew up in Xenia. My guest today is 2023 Xenia High School graduate, Hiba Loukssi. Hiba is enthusiastic, vivacious, highly intelligent, all sorts of verbose, and just a complete joy to talk to. You're going to like this episode of the You Could Be My Aramis podcast. This episode is brought to you by my new single, Good Times, which has been out for 1 week and 1 day. And I'd like to dedicate this episode to all of you out there who are graduating right about now or just graduated. This is dedicated to the class of 2023, especially the Xenia High School class. But for all you 2023 graduates, I hope that you listen to Good Times and you make it the song of your summer for this year, and it brings you good memories. There'll be a link to it in the description of the show. For now, let's get to the conversation with Hiba. Masal khair, Hiba.
Oh, Masal khair.
I would ask you how you are in Arabic, but I don't know how to say that. You'll have to help me with that.
I got you. You would say like kifik halik.
Kifik halik?
Kifik halik.
Kifik halik.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Cool. Shukran.
Eloquent, but you got it. Like, you're basically a brother now. What can I say? Like,
sweet. I'm a language nerd, and I'm one of those people that has always found people who were of different cultures than me more interesting than me. And obviously you grew up here because I'm listening to you speak English and you sound like any other American kid. But your name is Hiba Loukssi, which is not a typical Midwestern name. So you have some other roots. Would you mind explaining to the listeners what those might be?
Of course. Oh my goodness. So both of my parents immigrated here from Morocco. So I am the first person in my entire family to be born in America. So I get a lot of my passion and a lot of my heritage and who I am comes from my mom. So she came here from Morocco around the time, I think 18 years ago. Okay. And we still do a lot of things that she does in Morocco, but a lot of things we kind of let go as we started becoming more Americanized in a way. So I really took in the journey to kind of reconnect back to my heritage and reconnect back to my roots, because I just feel it's so important that we continue to do so. And I can find so much power and passion in coming back to my roots and making tea with my mom and speaking in Arabic. So I feel like sometimes those things can be lost in as I'm growing up in America.
It is, and I say this as an old guy that has learned languages that didn't grow up bilingual. It is such a gift to be able to speak more than one language. And quite often children of immigrants leave their family language behind because, let's face it, there's a lot of crazy people in this country that look at people who speak more than one language as bad, or they make the kids feel bad for knowing something else. And knowing more than one language can only help you in life. So I'm glad you haven't let that go. That's really cool.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Mint tea, I'm going to guess. So how often do your folks make tagine is what I want to know.
Okay. Tagine, we don't make it often, but it's kind of more of like a celebratory thing. But tea, we make every single day. I wrote my entire college essay on the art of making tea, actually.
That is so cool. And merguez. Do you guys eat merguez?
No, not often, actually.
All right. See, I have not been to Morocco, but it is very high on my list of places to visit.
We'll have to take you someday, honestly.
That would be really cool. Yeah. You could translate for me for people that don't speak, right? I don't speak Arabic, and I could translate for you if you run into people that speak French. That would be
awesome.
It would be perfect. So
power duo, you know what I mean?
It would be awesome. We should introduce you officially to the listeners. So Hiba, I would like you to introduce yourself in your own words to the folks listening today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Hiba Loukssi. I'm a senior in Xenia, and I'm graduating on May 23rd. Actually, May 24th. Just kidding. And I love to read. I love writing, and I love poetry.
That's great. By the time this podcast gets aired, you will have already graduated. So this is future me saying, congratulations, Hiba, for graduating from Xenia High School. I also graduated from Xenia High School, but you were not a thing yet in 96 when I graduated from Xenia High School. So the reason I found out about you is because you are an expert poet reciter person. And since I don't want to say any of the details wrong, and I know like maybe you don't like talking about yourself and how awesome you are, but sorry, you're going to have to. I would like you to explain the awesome poetry recitation competition thing that you won and such.
Thank you. Okay. You're right. I don't like talking about myself often, but I will for you. Okay, I got you. So poetry out loud is a competition I've competed in since sophomore year. So basically the entire like gist of the competition is you pick 3 competition pieces, and you pick out of like a big website with like 3,000 poems, and you scroll through them, you pick a poem, and then you have to memorize it, and you have to recite it in a way that the audience can understand. And you're graded on your like presence, you're graded on every like small minor detail of how you speak the poem is like corrected, and you're graded on everything. So you basically get up on a stage, you recite a poem that's not yours, but it makes it even harder because you have to like get in the mind of the author and try to understand exactly where they're coming from and why they even wrote the piece in the first place. So that's like mainly the thing. And then I competed my sophomore year and my junior year, and I didn't make it to the state competition. And then my senior year, I was able to make it to the state competition and then be the champion of Ohio and then compete at the national level.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I want to talk about, I don't think we had this when I was in school. When you recite, is it just in front of judges or are there other people in the room?
It's in front of judges and like other people.
Okay. And obviously they want to make sure you don't mess up any words, which means you have to put a lot of work into memorizing the works.
Oh, yeah.
But from what you said, it seems like they're judging you on your ability to emote.
Yes, everything. They're judging you on your facial expressions, the way that you move your arms, the way that your body is moving, like the way that you are initially understanding the piece. And if the authors don't understand what you're coming from or even what the piece means, then that's like major deduction of like your entire overall score.
That sounds less like poetry reciting and more like acting, actually.
It kind of is, but I would say it's not like in the acting sphere, because it's more like how you feel the poetry and how you feel every single word. And they actually take points off if you act. Like they can tell the difference between when you're understanding the poetry and when you're acting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, do they want you to recite it the way the original writer would, or do you have leeway to bring your own flavor or style to it? Because sometimes you might feel subversive and you might want to interpret something in a way the writer didn't mean, but that's kind of artistic. Are you allowed to do that?
Yes, you are. So so it depends. It's a very like thin line between you're taking complete control over the poem and then not respecting the author's voice versus completely doing everything by the book and by the author. So I would say it's a little bit of a mix of both, but you have to be really careful between putting your own spin on it versus taking the author's voice out of it completely.
That is fascinating to me. Yeah. What poem did you choose to recite to win Ohio?
Okay, that's an excellent question. So the 3 pieces that I picked were Author's Prayer by Ilya Kaminsky, There Are Birds Here by Jamal May, and The Paradox by Paul Laurence Dunbar.
Paul Laurence Dunbar, Dayton, Ohio.
That's what I'm saying.
Why were those your selections? Obviously, that's the next logical question.
Right. Do you want me to go into like each reason I picked the piece?
Yeah.
Or just like overall? Okay.
No, I want to know what motivated you to select these poems, because obviously they have to mean something to you if you're going to spend that kind of time performing them, right?
So for Author's Prayer, the biggest reason I chose the poem was, throughout the poem, the beginning, he's talking about how if he speaks for the dead, he has to leave this animal of my body, right? He has to leave this body. And then towards the end of the poem, he's realizing that by living, he is speaking for the dead. And especially as a Moroccan American, I can see that like when I talk about my heritage and when I talk about my culture, I sometimes feel this burden that I have to continue writing the stories of the past, that I have to like forego my own life in order to be able to share the stories of my ancestors accurately. But then towards the end of the poem, he's realizing just by living, I am like being a representative of everyone who has lived before me. Just by living, I am here. And because I am here, I am allowed to live. I am allowed to sleep and prayer and dance and sing. Just because of doing that, I can share the stories of my ancestors. So I feel like like it's so important to be able to understand that this kind of burden that you feel to share the stories of your ancestors and continue living through your heritage, it doesn't have to be a weight you have to carry.
That's really profound.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And then for the second poem, There Are Birds Here by Jamal May. So if you look at all three of my pieces separately, they're very different poems. But There Are Birds Here by Jamal May. So the beginning of the poem says, for Detroit. And it's really interesting because he talks throughout the poem, and it's kind of like an argument he's having with someone else. He's like, yes, there's confetti here, like people are laughing, but the other side is saying that this like city is full of horrible people, that the people who are here are like already bad, that if you raise your children here, then they're already bad. And it's interesting how he says for Detroit, because sometimes we think about a city like Detroit and we automatically think higher crime rate or crime rates. We automatically think horrible people. We automatically think like scary, all these dangerous things, right? But there are still people living in Detroit, and these people still deserve to be loved and still deserve to be respected, and they still deserve to have the rights that anyone else would have in any other city. So it's interesting how he kind of makes this entire piece like he's arguing with something else, or he's arguing with someone else. And sometimes I can feel the same way as well, because people will look at me and they'll automatically think, oh my gosh, she's a terrorist, or oh my gosh, all these different things about my heritage and my culture. And then I find myself debating with them and arguing with them and telling them like, hey, like the people who live in the Middle East are still people. They deserve to be treated respectfully. They deserve to have like love and happiness. They deserve to be able to go home and not feel scared to sleep. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it's such a powerful piece, because not only is he arguing with this other side, but he's like at the end, like it's not like coming to a close. At the end, the argument is still there. At the end, the people who are arguing with him still get the last say. And I feel like it's so interesting to see it that way.
That's moving. You almost got me crying. All right. So
I really
now the third
that.
one.
So Paul Lawrence Dunbar. First of all, he's from Dayton, Ohio. He has when I did some research about Paul Lawrence Dunbar, he was birthed to emancipated slaves. So once the Emancipation Proclamation came into existence, his parents moved to Dayton, Ohio to begin a new life, right? And so throughout the poem, it's really interesting because he's saying all the things that he is. So the poem first starts with, I am the mother of sorrows. I am the ender of grief. I am the bud and the blossom. I am the late falling leaf. And it's really interesting because all these things are kind of like paradoxical to itself, right? Like towards all of the poetry, he's like talking about how he's this, but he's also this. Like he's talking about how he can't, that when you look at him, don't just think of him as one thing. Don't just think of him as the things that have already happened to him. Don't think of him as the things that have happened to his family. He is more than everything that's already happened to him. And if we take a look at his poetry in the first place, his poetry is even paradoxical of itself. He writes poetry in a completely different like language and art style that you could even read it and think it's a completely different author, compared to this poetry, which is about like how people can see him and think of all these different things that he is without even asking him what he wants to be perceived as. Right? And then towards the end of the poem, I think it's really interesting how he talks about how death is an equalizer at the end. Like we go from all these things about how like he is this, but he's also this, he is this, but he's also this. Like he has all these great things within him, but you still want to see him as something else. And then at the end, he talks about how death then is no longer but life. And at the end, he'll take you to the grave and you're going to see him for who he truly is. And I feel like a lot of us can really like, feel that kind of like emotion of being so many different things, but people only want to see them as this thing. People only want to put them in this one box. But he talks about how at the end, death is going to show you that we are all the same, that it's not going to matter what this is, how you look at me, how you see me, because at the end, we're going to all come to heaven together. At the end, you're going to come with me. And he talks about this character called the Dream Woman and how he's going to take you to this dream woman. So it's a very different poem than all the rest of my pieces, but he really talks about how a paradox cannot represent a human life, how we are so many different things, how he is so many different things, and it's unfair for you to see him as this one thing.
I dig that. Obviously, you have to read a lot of poetry in order to decide, here are the ones that I'm going to present. And then you have to really dig deeper than any normal person would ever dig into the piece in order to be able to read it like that.
Oh,
Does
yeah.
does all of that work inspire you to write your own, is my question.
That is actually a perfect question. Yes. I when I first started doing this like competition my sophomore year, I was like, the only poetry I know is William Shakespeare, and I don't like that poetry. I'm good. Like, this is dumb. I'm only doing it because I think it's going to be kind of fun or whatever. And then I started the competition, changed my life completely. It was the first time I ever got on a stage, and then the first time I ever actually started writing my own poetry. So I feel like it was just so powerful being able to take my own words and put it down on a page, and then be able to see how my emotions reflect on a piece of paper or on a Google Doc. Like, I just feel like it's given me so much, and I feel so honored to be able to sit here and say that I was the state champion of Ohio, because this competition has given me the power to take back my own voice, if that makes sense.
It does. Have nationals, has that happened yet?
Oh, it's already happened. Yeah.
How did you do?
I placed in the top 24 of the nation.
That's a lot of work. Where were nationals at? Where'd you get a chance to go see?
It was in Washington, D.C.
Well, that's cool. Did they let you guys go to like the Smithsonian stuff while you're in town?
Yeah, it was so much fun. I think my favorite place, though, was getting a tour of the Capitol.
I have not done that.
You need to. You need to. It's so beautiful.
I don't know how safe it is, but maybe someday. I do like the Smithsonian, though. I'm a history nerd, so.
Yeah.
So because I do research when I do podcasts with people, I was totally not stalking you, but I do as much research as I can. And I learned that you are in Business Professionals of America. And I was in Business Professionals of America as a kid. Hold up. But not only are you in BPA, you're the national president, which I never figured anyone from Xenia would be the national president. So when I was a very young person, I was in BPA, and I went to nationals both my junior and senior years.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
It's a long time ago, but and I made friends with all the kids that were on, I don't even know what you call it, like the staff, because I noticed that like a lot of people would avoid them, like out and I'm like, they're just like kids and they wanted to do this thing. So yeah, I made buddies my junior year with all the kids that were running for president. And so my senior year, when I went to nationals, I already knew most of the kids on the national committees. That was pretty cool. But what made you decide to be national president of BPA? Because that's probably a lot of extra work that you didn't really need in your life.
Yes, but I will say one thing. I'm not the national president, but I was the state president of Ohio.
Same, it's still a lot of work. So I messed that up, but you're state president.
You're good. That's still like, I represented, so Ohio is like the headquarters of BPA. So I represented over 9,000 kids for my entire term. Yes. But the reason actually is kind of funny. So this is actually really interesting. No one's asked me this question, but the end of my junior year, I was doing Poetry Out Loud, right? Doing all back to Poetry Out Loud. I was doing Poetry Out Loud, and then I didn't make it to the state competition. And I was like, dang, like, what am I going to do to fill my time? I guess I'll just I'll run for a state officer position. I was doing BPA at that point for 4 months. I was literally doing it for 4 months, and I was like, you know what would be so funny if I ran for a state officer? Like, I could do this, but I was not expecting the amount of work, the amount of time, and how much you have to really understand this organization. And then when I began to like truly start my BPA journey, that's when I like everything clicked for me. And I was like, okay, this is fun. Like being on a stage and giving a speech, like this is fun. Like talking to people about what I want to accomplish and what I want to do, this is fun. And so I really found like kind of not my life's purpose, but kind of a faction of what I want my purpose to be in life. And I met so many different people, and just being able to be on a stage and then represent all these people and like being chosen to be president of Ohio's BPA, like life-changing stuff. I loved it so much. Oh my goodness.
Where did you get a chance to go for nationals last year and this year for BPA? So
for nationals last year, we went to Dallas, Texas.
Nice.
And then for nationals this year, we went to Anaheim, California.
Better.
Yeah, I better. Oh my gosh, I'm telling you, I was so, I don't know what I was expecting from Texas. If anyone from Texas is like listening to this, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all, but I don't think I'm going to come back for a visit. I'm just going to say it, like Anaheim, California, I was just having a ball. Like it was so much fun.
In Texas's defense, Austin is pretty cool.
That's true. That's true. Dallas, Texas. I don't know.
I've only spent 2 days there, so I don't know enough to talk. So you got better trips than me. My junior year, we went to Nashville, and we went on bus. Nashville's close enough that we took a bus, and that's really disappointing.
Yeah.
My senior year, we went to Phoenix, and that was the first time I'd ever set foot on a plane. So,
wow, are you serious?
Yeah, like my parents weren't big travelers, so I remember being really scared at takeoff. But I made some crazy life memories doing that stuff, but I didn't have to run the whole state. So it's a little, you have a different perspective. Did you compete at the BPA stuff or just kind of administrate?
So for junior year, I went because I was the president of Ohio. And then for senior year, I actually competed in extemporaneous speech.
That's what I did.
No way. Are you serious?
Yeah, I finished I finished first in Ohio my junior year and third at nationals. And then
nationals is crazy. Oh my God.
Yeah, and then second in Ohio my senior year and fifth at nationals. It's weird I did better as a junior than as a senior. But as you know from having done this, you meet a lot of cool people.
Yeah.
You get to do a lot of cool things. It's a life experience. Like for me, it's a life experience that I'm not ever going to forget. And so when I found, doing my research, he was in BPA. That's really cool.
That's so crazy. We did the same exact competition. Like, how difficult extemporaneous speech can be.
I do.
Like, oh my goodness. It is just, it makes your heart like pump. That's for sure.
It makes your heart pump. You know what I thought looking back? You could always, I was not clever enough to think about this as a kid, but you could always just not talk about what they assigned you because it's not like the judges know what the topics are.
Oh, yeah.
You could totally make something up and just like knock it out of the park. And I'm like, why didn't I think of that as a kid? I guess I was too honest.
I think for my last extemporaneous speech competition, I got like, does Made in America really count in the global market? And I was reading the prompts and I was like, literally face to the floor. I was like, no way. So I just started writing. I was like, this is enough. Like, I've just gotta go. Like this, I placed top 10 in the nation, but I was like, I started to completely lie and was like, you know what? You need to start believing. I don't even know what I said. I blanked out, to be honest.
Was your answer yes or no is what I want to know.
I said, okay, that's a good question. My answer was no, Made in America does not really matter in the global market.
I agree.
Yeah, amen. That's what I'm saying.
So the thing is that I'm pretty sure the judges don't really care what your answer is. They just want to see how you defend it and whether you're poised, right? They're checking for your poise, for whether you're making sense, for whether, they know you're nervous. They're not stupid, but how well do you control the nerves? I mean, that's got to be the kind of thing they're looking for, right? And
that's so true.
You're a really experienced public speaker, so I feel like this is something that you would definitely have been good at.
Thank you. I appreciate that a lot, actually.
And I know that that's probably looks really good on your resume and your college transcripts when you're getting ready to go to school. Have you selected a university to attend?
I actually have. Just yesterday, I put in my deposit for my school.
Are we allowed to know?
Oh, yeah. I'm going to Cornell University for public policy.
Oh, dear Lord, have mercy. That's one of them smart kid schools.
Oh, my gosh. Not the smart kid schools, yeah. Oh my goodness.
And how does your family feel about this? Because that's quite a ways away from home.
Yeah, 8-hour drive. My mom's been a little bit like nervous about it, but she just knows that wherever I end up, I'm gonna be like doing the best I can and making memories and taking every opportunity in. Because like I feel like my motto in life is taking every opportunity in and pushing myself to beyond my limits and keep fighting and keep going. That's like kind of the person I am. So she knows that wherever I end up, I'm going to make the most out of it and going to make this experience as memorable and as important and as powerful as possible. You're
going from blue to big red.
Yeah, I know.
That might require some wardrobe changes.
I know, just a little bit. I'm wearing blue right now, representing Xenia, but
you are.
I gotta change. You're wearing red, so I think you just knew.
I am. I just had to find a shirt because normally I don't wear one, and like you can't get on the Zoom with somebody and not have a shirt on. That's not. It's uncouth, as they say.
It's uncouth. It's uncouth.
You can see there's like paint drops on this one. This is just like an old one. This is not a video podcast, so no one is going to know. Gosh. I mean, I will give you the video, but I'm not gonna distribute the video. All right. So there's a couple of questions I ask everybody who's a guest, and so you're going to be subjected to those.
Okay, of course.
You are aware that I'm a musician, so one of them is a music-related question. Think back as far as you can remember, and this is going to be a lot fewer years for you than it would be for someone my age. What is the first song that you can remember hearing in your life?
Oh, that is so good. Okay. The first song I can ever remember hearing in my life. Okay. It was probably a song by Nancy Ajram. She is like an Arabic musician. And my mom used to play her either Nancy Ajram or Adele because my mom used to play them all the time, like growing up. So it was definitely one of the first songs I've ever heard.
Nice. Do you remember the words to the Nancy Ajram songs?
No, I don't. I don't listen to her anymore. My mom still plays it in the background, but I don't listen to her anymore. So I don't, sadly.
Do you currently listen to any Arabic language artists?
Right now, no. I need to though. I really, really need to start doing that, but I don't. My sister does, but I don't.
It's okay. Thanks for being real. I actually have no idea what young people listen to these days.
Oh yeah. My music taste is a little bit different though. Like, oh
Tell
my
me.
God.
I am very curious. As
Really?
a musician, like, first of all, anyone you know that plays music, I actually should ask, do you play music? You have a lot of talent, so I wouldn't be surprised if you did.
Thank you. I'm in my school's like vocal ensemble.
Okay.
But I don't really play music that much. It's like that's my sister's talent. Like she loves music, musical theater, but I'm more like public speaking and policy and like the opposite direction.
Is that still Mr. Manley?
No, Mr. Manley like left. I think it's a couple years ago actually.
Because
But Mr. Matson's the one that teaches it now.
He'd been at it for a long time.
Yeah.
All right, so you don't actually make music. So what do you listen to usually?
I listen to this band called the Oh Hellos. They're more like a folk indie. They're like a folk indie like band. It's like the kind of music you listen to when you're getting ready for like a medieval adventure. It's the best way I can describe it.
Where are they from?
They're from, I actually don't know. I've been listening to them since like freshman year. And I don't know. I think maybe Indiana, I feel like.
So folk indie, is that like Mumford and Sons folk indie? Or like Decemberist folk indie? Or
like
what kind of that?
Folk indie.
Okay. What else?
I listen to the Oh Hello. Is it okay if I pull up my Spotify right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I can't remember. I listen to a lot of jazz music too.
Jazz? Not a lot of people your age are listening to jazz. I'm impressed.
Thank you. I listen to the Crane Wives. Have you heard of the Crane Wives?
I have not. I do have the December's album called The Crane Wife, but I'm not aware of a band. Yeah, they December's put out a record on me.
They're so good. Either the Crane Wives or The Amazing Devil, or just really music that you would listen to if you're like getting ready to go on like a fantasy adventure in the woods. You know what I mean? Like that's the kind of music I listen to. I also listen to a lot of My Little Pony music. I don't know why, but it's just something I didn't know that was still a thing. That was a thing when I was a kid. So yeah, I don't know. It just calms my soul. You know, like when I'm like really, really stressed out, I listen to music I like a 7-year-old would listen to, and all of a sudden I feel better. You know, I'm like, I'm good. But that's mainly the kind of music, this genre that I listen to is either 7-year-old music or like folk indie going to a medieval like adventure kind of music. I dig it, and you have given me things to look for. One thing I wish that I understood better when I was your age is, you know, peer pressure and such, and y'all want to be cool. At least when I wanted to be cool. I used to make excuses for some of my musical tastes when I was a kid, but now I'm like, yeah, you just listen to what you want. And I think the older I get, the better I'm able to distinguish between this thing sucks and this thing doesn't suck. It's just not for me. Yeah. Right? Like when I was a kid, if I didn't like something, I'd be like, that sucks. And I'm like, now that I actually play and listen to it at a deeper level, I'm like, you know, they're really good musicians. I just don't like what they're doing. Wow. Do you think your perspective on music has changed because you're a musician now? Absolutely. I didn't start learning how to play till I was in my early 20s. And I listened to music a completely different way once I started learning how to make it. And I wish that I had started earlier. Like when I was in my teens, or I actually kind of wish my parents had got me piano lessons or something, because the theory base and just the way you understand how music functions
can only help you going forward, no matter what genre you pick, no matter what instrument you pick.
Right.
But yeah, I'm very nerdy when it comes to music.
I think that's awesome. I love when people talk about their passions. It's like the most interesting thing to me.
Me too, and that is why I have a podcast. I let people come and talk to me about the things they're into.
That is so awesome.
Next question. I think you're the youngest person I've asked this one to. What did your childhood smell like?
What did my childhood smell like? That is okay. So it smelled like I already have an immediate answer for this. It smelled like incense and mint tea.
Elaborate.
So for instance, my mom does this thing called bahor. It's like a Moroccan thing where you take a charcoal, and then you put like leaves and like these kind of rock things that I have no idea what the names are, and then it like creates smoke, and then they take it through the house, and they take it like through the house or like through the doors or whatever to like kind of clear the bad vibes. And then mint leaves, because my mom makes tea every single day. And we drink green mint leaf tea every single day. We have we used to have mint leaves growing outside of our backyard, but we don't have them anymore. But she would make like tea every single day, and then she would burn bahor almost every single week.
That is awesome.
Thank you.
So we're about at the end of our time. Before I let you go, where can I send the listeners if they want to connect with you, get to know more about you, follow your adventures as you go to Cornell?
Oh my goodness, that is a great question. Hold on, let me make sure I don't have my Instagram memorized, but I brought it up. It's Hiba, HIBA _sun, SUN 27. And that's it.
Excellent.
Thank you.
I know you're very busy because you do a lot of stuff. And I really do thank you for taking the time to talk to a person who's old as or older than your parents and teachers. No. Congratulations on the success you've had, not just with the poetry recitation, but also with Bits of Professionals of America. You're obviously a great student because you got into Cornell, which is not like an easy thing that everyday people do.
Thank you.
I'm sure your folks are proud of you. I'm sure your little sister looks up to you. That is really cool. You're getting ready to graduate. You're going to have like all these parties and you're going to have a bunch of fun. And then you're going to have to go get serious about learning again. So I hope that you
staying home and reading my book. You know what I mean? I'm just that kind of person.
Oh, well, that's a lot less stressful. But yeah, you're awesome, and I wish you the best.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you were able to take the time to talk to me.
Thank you so much for talking to me, and thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. For whoever's listening, I am wishing you all the best of luck. You got this. Enjoy your life and go outside. Touch some grass. Live your life. That's it.
Once again, thank you very much. Shukran to Hiba Loukssi for taking the time to talk to me. Thank you, dear listener, for being here. Once again, this episode is brought to you by Good Times, and I'd like to dedicate it to people like Hiba Loukssi in the class of 2023. Congratulations on graduating. Go out there and do cool stuff. If you need a song to groove to, 2023 graduates, while you're doing cool stuff, check out Good Times, my newest single, which I hope to become your song of the summer. Thanks. Bye.